I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, hearts full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars. He's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank. Big
BigTank Talk.
Tank.
BigTank Talk.
Mark, there's the thumbs up. I assume you're ready, right?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome, my friends, to another episode of BigTank Talk. Today I have a special guest, my friend today. I want to introduce you to Joker_Baker. He is an Afghanistan combat veteran. He's fairly new to Clapper, so guys, let's make sure we make him feel welcome as he gets to know us better and we get to know him better. Mark, welcome to BigTank Talk.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Now, I do start with the same question to every guest. So tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be on Clapper.
How I came on Clapper is I left TikTok because all their rules and regulations and all that. You can't even go live without getting bans. I don't know. Just come over here and just have fun with friends and meet people all the time.
Right on. And I'll understand through the course of this interview, there'll be some Clapper specific questions because I'm not only wanting to introduce you to Clapper, but we're also targeting this to people new to Clapper so they learn how we do things here. And I think this is a good format to do that, as well as introduce my guest to Clapper. So my first question is, obviously I introduced you as a veteran. So when did you initially join the military and what branch?
March 1990, Kentucky Army National Guard.
Okay. Why did you choose Army National Guard?
Well, originally I was trying to get in the Coast Guard. That's what I really wanted to do. I was born and raised on the river. I just love the water. And
Right.
That's what I tried to do, but I didn't score high enough on the ASVAB. So I decided to choose the Army National Guard. So let me turn the scanner down.
No problem, brother.
The scanner's loud.
Mark, American Truth says thank you for your service.
Thank you.
So tell me, all right, my first question, and I didn't include it in the ones you previewed. How old were you when you initially joined the military?
19.
And how tough was boot camp for you?
There for a little bit, I was wondering if I was going to make it all the way through it. But I looked at it as a mind game, as a game, and just played the game and just took it one day at a time, laid low, and didn't get in much trouble.
Now, once you realize, because what I know, my understanding, no matter what branch you go in, their objective is to break you down, and then bring you back up as part of that military team. So thinking the way they want you to think, and I get that. What was your MOS?
13 Bravo, Field Artillery.
Now, for those that aren't military, can you tell them what MOS stands for?
Military Occupational Specialty.
Right. Paul, our screen recorder, wants to know what was the toughest part of boot camp.
The toughest part was probably the physical part, because in there. Probably the physical.
Yeah, for me, the toughest part for me with Navy boot camp was the mental game. Once I got that figured out, it was nothing. I got through it pretty easily. When when did you get sent to? Now I introduced you as an Afghanistan veteran. When did you get sent to Afghanistan, and which part of the country?
Well, I served till 2000 or I served until 1997. Like I was in there for 7 years, and I got out. But then after 9/11, I thought about rejoining. I heard my unit was getting ready to go in about a year or so, going to go over there. So I was like, well, hell, I'm going with them. So I rejoined for another 6 years, 13 and a half years total.
So was it that second enlistment when you got sent to Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Which part of Afghanistan, if you don't mind me asking?
I was in Janda. It's like I was at Fob Warrior, but the town was called Little Village or whatever. It was Janda. It was southwest of Ghazni, about 100 or so miles.
All right. Now I saw the video you have on YouTube. What? Maybe I know it's a kind of a personal question, but can you tell me what it was like being shot at for the first time, and when did you become used to it, if you ever did?
I mean, we got shot at a lot. Just every time we left the wire. Some, not every time, but a lot, often. But when I first earned my combat action badge was when we were attacked from both sides. We were in a valley, and they were on the mountains on both sides. First thing I saw was an RPG, which is like a little black dot with smoke behind it, going zigzagging back and forth, coming right at my ass. But I was in an up armor Humvee driving, pretty protected.
Probably a silly question. Were you scared?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's so much adrenaline rush, and it was my first firefight. I felt better that I was in an up armor Humvee, but it still didn't feel safe.
I can understand that. With the unit you were in, did you guys suffer a lot of casualties?
No, we were fortunate that we only lost one guy. I mean, the ones you might as well have lost 100, but we lost one guy. He was a staff sergeant, one of the squad leaders. He wasn't at my fob, but he was at Fob Ghazni, which we used to always travel back and forth to. And he kicked the door in and got it right in the thigh. And he hit that femoral artery.
Oh, I was going to say a thigh shot you wouldn't think of that as a kill shot, but yeah, femoral artery, you bleed out pretty quick.
About 3 minutes, and his last words was, "I'm not going to make it, man." That's what they told me his last words were. And he knew he wasn't going to make it.
That had to be tough. Not just for, I mean, I'm sure it had to be tough for him knowing he wasn't going to make it, but it had to be tough for you guys.
Carnes. I put a memorial on my arm.
Are you the only one in your unit that did that?
No, I think just about everybody's got one either here or on their fort, right here, and just different places.
Now, Tina's Corner asks, what would you say to the people who talk badly about people who join the military? Good question, Tina.
Well, I mean, a lot of people that talk badly about them have no clue what they're talking about to begin with. And people who have served, whether it be in combat or not, it's just a different world. It changes you. And especially, I just, I despise those people. They're haters, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know why you got to speak badly about somebody that's kept you free for all.
If I could also add my answer to that, Tina, for those people that talk badly about people that join the military, I would say raise your right hand, swear in, put on a uniform, and find out what it's like, and experience what all branches, whatever branch you go, experience what they go through, and until you understand, just thank them for doing the job you didn't have to do and be done with it.
I don't know if we discussed this at all, but I also got blown up by a roadside bomb.
Let me come back to that. I want to ask Paul's question first. He wants to know what's the good and the bad sides of being in the military.
The good, it really teaches you. I don't know if you can hear me good, but teaches
Yes,
you discipline. I don't know. It changes you. It makes you a better person. I think some people it does, some people it doesn't. And
yeah.
that's good.
It's been my experience, Mark, that a lot of guys, a lot of people, when they join young, and it helps you learn to grow up, learn responsibility. It helps you to learn to work with people as well, because you got to be able to work with the guy next to you when you're in the military as well.
Right. It's team effort for sure.
Now, you said you were blown up. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I happened to be the lead truck that day. I knew we was going to blow up that day because we went down I-80 alley, and my buddy drove that time, and I took the gunner's hatch behind the 50 cal, and we went to a village and seeing all these people standing around like they was getting ready to watch a soccer game or something, and then all of a
Right.
sudden, no people. They knew what was getting ready to happen to me, and we ran over the trigger, and it blew up just underneath the driver's feet, which is a 45-degree angle plate.
Right.
And it blew the whole front of my truck off. It's in my bio if anybody ever wants to go down and look at it. And I just happened to not like the spot we were going through. So right before we blew, I sat down on the strap and kind of put my head down a little bit. And that's when the inside of the sun for a bit.
I understand. So American Truth wants to know, and this is, I'm sure it's political because he's a political kind of guy. He wants to know what you think about trans people in the military.
That's just a subject I don't want to talk about.
No problem.
I don't agree with it, but I'm not.
I understand, Mark, and anything I ask you, if you don't want to answer it, that's all you got to say. Is you don't want to answer it, and I'll leave it alone. Tina wants to know what you would change about the military if you had the ability to change it.
That's a tough one. What would I change about it? I definitely wouldn't allow woke crap in there anymore. I'm not, we were going to war with our weapons, we're going to go in there and smack you upside the head with the rose.
Yeah, I would remove a double standard. And if you join, all people have to meet the same physical standards, male, female, big, small, strong or weak. I think that's how you get the best prepared military. That's just my opinion. Okay.
We're not going to tippy toe around your damn feelings, period.
No, then there ain't no place for that in the military anyway. I think it weakens the military.
Everybody gets talked down to in the military. Somebody higher ranked than you, they talk to you like you're scum of the earth, but it's just part of it. You just got to suck it up.
Truth, I'm not going to dwell onto it anymore. He said he doesn't agree with it, and that's where we're going to leave that particular issue, if you don't mind. So after you were, how long did you stay in Afghanistan in a combat zone?
March to March, 1 year.
1 year. What was it like when you came back to the States after being in Afghanistan for a year?
Well, when we came back to the States, we went back to Fort Dix, New Jersey for about a week before we actually got to come home. And just, when we flew out of the United States, we was excited, and we was more excited when we got back in it.
Oh, I'm sure. How did the people treat you when you came back?
A lot better than they treated my friend that went to Vietnam, I'll tell you that. They tried to treat us really good. They gave us a big welcome home and everything. It was no parade, but I mean, they had a big sign.
Mark, I'll tell you something you may not know about that. The Vietnam veterans themselves made a point with every combat situation we've been in, going back to the Gulf War and stuff, to make sure that when you came back from combat, that you weren't treated the same way they were. So it was the Vietnam veterans leading the charge and making sure that our men and women who came back from combat were welcomed home like they should have been back in Vietnam, back when they came back from Vietnam.
I got a Vietnam veteran friend that's watching right now.
Yeah. Tina wants to know, and Ronan's question just knocked it out, but Tina's question was, what do you think of the treatment you get from the VA?
I mean, they switch our doctors way too damn much. It's like every few months or every year or so, you got a new doctor. They're slower than Christmas. I mean, as for the treatment and everything, I think it's okay. You know, they treat us with respect and dignity, but you know, I had to have heart surgery about a year ago, and it fixed my heart.
And Tina, in a lot of situations that they do just push pills and over medicate. And Mark, I'll tell you something about the VA you don't know, that most of the doctors we get in the VA system, that's where they choose to go. That's where some of them choose to go and do their internship. So we're getting a lot of the doctors we get are either just beginning their medical careers, or they're getting near the end and they're getting close to retirement. We're not getting the best medical minds in the VA system. That's one of the issues that we have. Veterans are never to me, they're never been a big priority in this country.
Yeah, they try to push
all right, guys. Yeah. Truth wants to know, do you think illegals get treated better than veterans?
Say that again.
American Truth, ever the political angle, wants to know, do you think the illegal people in this country get treated better than veterans?
I mean, that's kind of a up in the air kind of question, but I mean, they definitely got paid a lot more than I did. I know that.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them come over and got their teeth all fixed. I still got messed up teeth. I can't even afford to get mine fixed. Yeah.
Yep.
The top ones are bad.
My top ones are gone, Mark, just so you know.
I would love to have implants, but just can't afford it.
I'm going to look into that. I might get implants. We never know. Now, since you've been out, do you keep in touch with some of the guys that you serve with?
A lot of them, especially on Facebook. If it wasn't for Facebook, we probably wouldn't. But yeah, we talk a lot on Facebook. The guy that I was in my first battle with, he was the guy that was in the gunner's hatch. We hang out a lot. He goes through a lot of rough stuff. He draws 100% disability, and he from that, but he's doing okay right now.
I'm glad for that.
And I pick up sand in his town where he lives, and whenever I get a chance for a lunch break, I stop and go over to his house and have lunch.
Excuse me a minute, Mark. Ranny, if that, however you say your name, this is not a live. I'm going to bring somebody else up into a box score. It's an interview. But thank you for attending. Tina wants to know, what's the coolest place you've been to while in the military?
I guess it'd have to be Afghanistan. I mean, it's the most interesting place. But when I flew over there, we landed in Kyrgyzstan in the middle of the night, and we spent the night there. And then we got on the C-17 and flew into Bagram. But the weirdest feeling I ever had in my life was when I stepped off that plane in Kyrgyzstan, and my feet were on the ground. I didn't know where my feet were standing on this planet exactly. That was a weird feeling.
Oh, I'll bet. I got to get to Ronan's question because I missed it. He wants to know if you took any shrapnel when the IED exploded under your Humvee.
No, I didn't. But I just took the entire concussion from it, you know, and My
Did
ears ringing constantly.
did anybody in the Humvee take shrapnel?
No, but it blew a hole in the floor right in front of the drive, and a lot of blast in the face. He was unconscious for a little while,
Okay.
and I got sent to a MASH hospital, and then I was there for a while, and then I came back to my unit, and I didn't go on any more missions. But me and a couple guys out of our unit decided we wanted to go cook for everybody, so we cooked for everybody throughout for the rest of my deployment. I didn't go on any more missions after that explosion.
Okay. So the Bandit OG asked, after all you've been through, would you do it again?
I've said that a lot, yeah, but I'm too damn old now. But yeah, I would have went back definitely for a second tour. Knowing what I'd learned the first tour, I'd have been a lot better at it the second time. And that's what I think just about anybody that's been will tell you. It's been there more than once. But yeah, I had one tour.
So Ronan says the concussion from an explosion can kill you as well, the percussive effects. And he's glad you made it out. And I am as well. I'm thankful that you're here to tell your story.
Me too. Thank you.
Did you, when you were during all of your active duty, each enlistment, have you ever gone anywhere outside of the States other than Afghanistan?
Our unit went to Africa after I got out, but no, Afghanistan was the only time I went out of the country.
Okay.
We
and
had a
the
couple
places
other times we were deployed, but it was natural disasters. It was flood and ice, two different things.
Yes, I understand. Did you also? I also wanted to find out where you trained, if you can tell that.
Yeah, I went to basic training in Fort Sill, Oklahoma, base, and all we did at Fort Knox mostly. And our
Right.
2 weeks training, we did different places. We went to Fort Stewart, Georgia a lot. That's where I got struck by lightning. When we was down in Fort Stewart, Georgia, I got struck by lightning. My first year I was in.
Well, that's just bad luck.
Yeah, we were firing rounds too.
So Paul wants to know, what advice after your 2 stints in the military, what advice would you give to somebody joining the military?
Just go for it and don't look back. There'll be times you feel like you're not going to be able to make it, but you can and you will. And just I that's all I can really think of right offhand. But just go for it. I mean, even if you just want to join for a few years and learn a trade, and then come back out in the civilian life and use that to make a living.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to being in the military. Yes, you can learn a trade. I think you'll learn a lot about yourself when you join the military, especially if it's the first big thing you do after living at home with mom and dad, because you learn a lot about yourself. You learn that you can depend on yourself, that other people can depend on you. You learn a lot of what you can and can't do as well. So there's a lot of benefits to join. Miss Tracy says her friend's son. Go ahead.
Another thing is I would just at least do 20, 25 years. I did 13 and a half. I could have had a much better retirement if I would have stayed a few more years.
Yeah, I did a total of 11 with active duty and reserves, but I had a mouth on me, and my mouth would get me in trouble. That's why I ended up not going on after reserves, because in my reserve unit, the active duty CO of where I was at treated everybody like we were all active duty, and I didn't appreciate it. And I let him know in certain terms I didn't appreciate it. All that got me though was the officer I worked for told me, don't do that again.
Don't do it.
All right. Miss Tracy says her friend's son wants to join. What shape does he need to be in before signing up?
They'll work you into shape. I mean, it doesn't hurt to be in shape when you go in, but they don't throw you out there and make you run 8 miles. They'll run you about a quarter mile, then a half a mile, then a mile, and then before you know it, you run 8 miles and you're still breathing. And he's like, "Damn, I just ran 8 miles."
Now, I will say this, Ms. Tracy, get if weight is an issue, get the weight down before he joins, because that will you will get gigged on it a lot by the drill commanders when you're in boot camp. They will give you shit about being overweight.
They'll starve your ass.
Yeah, but if you're in decent shape, even and I personally believe Marine Corps boot camp is probably the most physically demanding. But if you're in good shape, even Marine Corps boot camp is not something you can't do physically. And all of the branches of the military, I don't think it's the physical issues that get people booted out as much as the mind games they play to get you to break down your individuality so they can bring you back up as a unit, which is the point of boot camp in the first place.
Like Eric said, half rations. I don't even think it's half. They give you a hard-boiled egg and a glass of orange juice for breakfast. I'm like, that poor guy. I seen it.
And then you still got to do all the physical stuff, so that can get really hard. Since you mentioned about it, when you were in Afghanistan, both before you started cooking and after, what was the food like?
In Afghanistan or before? Like
in Afghanistan,
we spent 5 months in Fort Dix, New Jersey, training before we even went over. But in Afghanistan, I thought the food was bad. It wasn't bad at all. We got steak and crab legs every Friday, but steak was tough. But I mean, even the MREs weren't all that bad. They've improved the MREs a lot over the years, and we lived off MREs quite often when we were, out of the wire. But I discovered how to get into the food connexes, and I took a cooler full of, found me some ice and a cooler full of T-bone steaks out. We lit a fire while we was out, away from the fob, and I bring out all these T-bone steaks, and everybody's like, "Damn, Baker!"
Did you ever eat any of the local food? Ever eat any of the local food while you were there?
Yeah, we'd stay at these police stations a lot, and these little girls and little boys would bring stuff in, to make money, and we'd give them $1 for a portion. That's like giving them $100 bill. But
thank you, Captain Potback.
They had some bread that they cook on the hot rocks, like flatbread, and we ate lamb meat, goat meat, or whatever.
Right.
Stuff like that they had over there.
Eric wants to know, how do you spend your off time when you're deployed to a combat zone?
Off time?
Excellent question, Eric.
There wasn't much off time at all. But we had, that's when all this gaming started getting real big, and we all had little TVs, and we hooked up all these Xboxes together, linked them all together, and we would fight each other like you see. It was like you see, when we'd have some downtime, we'd just get on there and we would have our own little battles on that video game. What was it called? Call of Duty 3. Right.
That's a better battle than being in one physically, I bet. Wheels Over Matter wants to know what inspired your username, Joker_Baker.
I've been on TikTok. I got on TikTok about 5 or 6 years ago, and just always cutting up and joking, making everybody laugh. And a friend of mine called me Joker, and just stuck.
Okay, and the Baker part of it?
That's my last name.
Oh, okay. I did not know that, so I learned something new. Do you have any good or fond or fun memories from your time in military, in particular when you were in Afghanistan?
Yeah, well, we taught the Afghani army people how to play Smear the Queer. That was fun. They were easy to smear because they were so small.
Right.
But
that's a for those of you who don't know what that is, that's a form of tackle football.
Yeah, whoever's got the ball, everybody jumps them. Everybody.
Right. American Truth wants to know if you got banned from TikTok for your political views.
I got my main account banned, the one I had over 12,000 followers. Yeah, but I still got a backup account. But I don't go over there too much, every once in a while. But yeah, I got it banned for what I believe in. Yep.
Yeah, well, most of us here are TikTok refugees. But like for me, I came over TikTok in 2020. I still have my TikTok account, but it's my fourth account there. I got banned. I was all political back then, so being political got me banned a few times.
I've met a lot of people that we've been friends with now for 5 or 6 years now that I met on TikTok. Never have met them in person yet, but one of them I have. My friend Mark, he's a Vietnam
Right.
vet. He come down here and visited me one time. He don't live too awful far from me.
So I was going to ask you that. Have you met? I was going to ask if you had met any of your Clapper friends or TikTok since you haven't been in Clapper that long yet.
Just one in person so far, but I got a couple people that's in my group that we always hang out together that we grew up here in the same town.
Right. Would that one of those people be Eric?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Eric, good people.
He was in the Marines. He was in the Marines. Oh yeah, you've met
Do
him.
you keep crayons on hand for when he comes around?
Crayons. I mean, he's been upgraded to markers.
So Bandit OG would like to know who is your biggest inspiration in the military? Good question, Bandit. Hey, Bugs, welcome in.
Who is my biggest inspiration in the military? You mean during my deployment or just the whole military?
Bandit, do you want to specify if you mean during combat or he says in general?
I don't know. I don't know. I really can't. Who's my biggest inspiration?
I could tell you who my inspiration. I had a group that inspired me, and that was my dad and the several of my 5 of my uncles, half of whom served in the Navy and the other half served in the Army. 4 of the 6 that served in Vietnam, including my dad. So
Well, I mean,
that collective group for me was my inspiration.
I mean, you put it that way. I mean, I've had a lot of family that grandmas and not grandmas, but grandpas and uncles and stuff that served in the military. I got one here in particular. This is his World War I picture. That's an actual paper from 1917. His name's Lewis Hall, and he served.
Right on.
He served in it's the 5th Division Supply Company, 60th Infantry. Lewis Hall. That's my great grandpa.
Do you think if he had lived to see you grow up and do what you did, he'd be proud of your service?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay. I know a lot of my questions have focused on the time you were in the military. How difficult was it for you to transition once you got out for good, to transition into civilian life again?
After being around nothing but voices for 17 straight months, and just coming home to the quiet, it was strange. I was kind of nervous. Like, now what am I going to do? I was a truck driver when I left, but I let my CDL lapse when I was overseas.
Right. Welcome in, Riley. It's good to see you. Is PTSD an issue for you?
Sometimes.
Do you go through the VA when you have issues with PTSD, or how do you deal with it?
I just deal with it. Some people it's worse. I have episodes. I have episodes where I just get really, really, really anxious.
Right. I will offer this to you. I'm no professional by any means, but I do have a handful of veterans that do have it, PTSD, that can call me 24/7 anytime they need it. And I had one guy call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting in a dark room with just him and a pistol. And he and I talked for 3 or 4 hours. But by the end of that conversation, he had put it away, and I had him laughing and joking and stuff. I'll offer that to you. You have my number, and you're welcome to call my number if you ever need it, anytime, day or night.
Got you. I'm never going to be suicidal, I'll tell you that. But I know people.
I understand. Right. I know enough. I know enough to say never. That's all I'll say about that. But I will make that offer to you. If you're just having a rough time, you want to talk to somebody, give me a call, and I'll talk to you as long as I need to. Miss Tracy wants to know: did you feel like you had to go in because of your family history of military service?
No, basically, I wanted to join the Coast Guard to begin with. And like I said, I didn't score high enough on the ASVAB, so I had to go where all the dumb people go, Army. You got to be smarter for Coast Guard, I guess. I don't know.
So, because this also is a pro clapper thing that I do. What was it when you came over from TikTok? What was the hardest thing to get used to about clapper?
I just thought it was a whole lot alike, There's things that's not on Clapper that I liked on TikTok that's not on Clapper.
Okay. And I agree with Miss Tracy. You're not dumb. Some people, very smart, don't test well. So, don't ever knock yourself.
That was a joke. The real dumb ones go to the Marines. Oh, Eric.
And I got to tell you, Paul says he doesn't think there's enough done for veterans who suffer PTSD anywhere in the world. And I happen to agree with that. I think it's especially in the United States. I think they kind of brush it aside, or they try to get veterans to believe that it's not a real thing, and I just don't think they want to deal with it. You send people off into combat, into situations that's you don't want to have to be in, and then they say war is hell for a reason. A good day is when there's no shooting. Other than that, I have several friends that serve in combat. I never did, but I can't imagine what they go through, seeing what they saw. I don't know the worst of what you saw, Mark, and I wouldn't ask about it either. I just think if our country is willing to send our young men and women to combat, then they damn well ought to figure out a better way to take care of them when they come home. And as of right now, where we sit, they're still not doing it to my satisfaction.
Yeah, I know PTSD is real. There's just a couple weeks ago down here, I'm 54, and there's a 54-year-old veteran that was having bad PTSD moment. He was shooting his gun off in his house and everything. So the cops were all called in. SWAT was called in. They were at a standoff for a few hours, and they ended up shooting him dead. And it happened just right down the street here.
Damn.
They said he come out with his gun out. But, yeah.
But you got to believe, Mark, that there's somebody before that incident had to have recognized that he's having these issues. They just didn't deal with them. Eric, you're probably right. If he come out brandishing a gun, that could very well be suicide by cop.
If that's what really happened, I don't know. I wasn't there. Yeah, it's sad.
So how long have you been on Clapper now, Mark?
2 or 3 years, I don't know. 2.5 years, maybe.
Okay. Did you? So you are. I've noticed that you don't have a lot of followers. Is it just you're not worried about getting a lot of followers, or are you just
I
now
mean,
starting to spend more time on here?
no, I'm on here a lot. I just like to get on here and drink beer with my friends, and we get on here. That's about the only time I really get on live is when I'm drinking a beer, drinking 12 beers. I mean,
I understand that.
we just get on
I
there,
know
laugh,
you
cut
picked up.
up, and have a good time. And no, I'm not really interested in getting a shit ton of followers. I mean, I put videos on there here and there, just random videos. It's either political or it's something funny or just something that comes to my mind I want to share. I'll put it on there sometimes, but I don't put a lot on there.
Right on. And you picked up a few followers since this live started as well. Ronan and Miss Tracy both said they followed you.
Yeah, I'm following you too, Peterbilt.
So what do you tell the people when you encounter people that are pretty new? What advice would you give them coming into Clapper?
Don't get too many mods. Just have 2 or 3 mods, and just you're going to get trolls. You're going to get haters come in. They're kind of entertaining to me. And what pisses me off is sometimes I'll be on here. They won't do it unless I'm by myself, and they'll join my live or something and start calling me stolen valor and stuff like that. And that kind of hits me right here in the heart. I don't like that. That bothers me a lot. I just block them.
That's probably the best thing to do because anybody that spends more than a few minutes talking to you is going to know that you're not stolen valor. Um, but if somebody's coming in and they're approaching you that way, they're only trying to get a reaction, and blocking them is the best thing to do.
Yeah,
And don't give them the benefit of any other reaction than that.
true.
Because I get that stuff too. You know, my experiences, military experience, is not the same as yours, but no, no, no two veterans' experiences are alike anyway.
15-star generals, yeah. I had
Yeah,
14. I'm kidding.
yeah. The ones that have stories that are bullshit. They were Navy SEALs and Army Special Forces. I've seen a couple of those.
Or the ones who can't tell you when and where they served and what dates.
Or don't know what an MOS is, or what their MOS was. That's a cause to be immediately doubtful. You say, well, what was your MOS? Now, to be fair, though, in the Navy, we didn't call it MOS, we called it a rating. But every sailor I know knows what an MOS is. It's not what we called it.
Right.
Welcome in, Sissy. It's good to see you. We are talking today with Joker Baker, an Afghanistan vet and a general good guy. What would you say, other than the friends that you've made, what was the best thing about your military service? The best benefit?
I don't have to pay my mortgage. It's paid. I get a check every month because I draw 40%. And that was from being blown up by a roadside bomb. And uh, it's a little bit higher than my mortgage. So when it comes in every month, it just goes straight to the mortgage payment. So basically, a free home on the beautiful Ohio River.
Right on.
Look out the window every. And this is what we see.
That is a beautiful view, brother. I have to ask this because Eric knows you, so I'm sure you'll understand him asking the question. He says, "Tell us about the guy at the bar that ran the gas chamber without a mask."
That's what he was claiming he did. I didn't think that he. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he was stolen valor. He's saying that he ran he wasn't a drill sergeant or nothing, but he ran a gas chamber, I guess at basic or something. And when he went in there, he didn't have to wear a mask. Oh, yeah, okay, you're human, right?
Yeah, we both know that's bullshit, brother.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's one thing to go in there with the mask on, take it off for a few seconds, and then you come out. But to say he didn't need a gas mask, that's absolutely bullshit.
Oh yeah, we knew that. We didn't argue with him about it. We just kind of.
Right.
Guy was a goofball.
And Captain Clapback said that was the worst experience for him. The gas chamber starts. I don't care who you are.
Eric just texted me and said somebody kicked him out alive.
I don't know. It was probably there is a clapper glitch for that. It says kicked him out, but
here I'll send him another invite. See what happens.
If it's a clapper glitch that kicked him out, he's not going to be able to come back. It's because it's a 24-hour. It's like a 24-hour ban if you get kicked out. But it is a known clapper glitch. Let him know it's a known clapper glitch, and that's quite likely what it is, because he's done or said nothing that would require him to be removed from my life.
No, he's the guy. Actually, me and him tried to join the Coast Guard together, and neither one of us scored high enough. He ended up going to the Marines, and I went to the National Guard.
I'm just saying it's a known clapper glitch. Let him know that that's likely what happened, because he did nothing and said nothing that would require he be removed from my life.
Well, no.
And welcome in, Leah. So when you joined the military, what did your family think?
I mean, they never really said much about it other than, they were happy to see I was doing something with my life is what the way they saw it,
Right.
I was a hellion teenager, I'll tell you. I was a
Did you? Mike Campo says, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Was military life anything like you expected it to be?
As for, yeah, I mean, a whole lot. Yeah, because I found it pretty interesting, to be actually living it instead of just seeing it on TV or whatever.
Right. You ever, did you ever play practical jokes on guys in your unit, or did any other guys do that to you?
I mean, not really that I can think of it right off. I'm sure it happened some.
Yeah.
I can't really think of any.
Yeah. Good question. Bugs wants to know, what advice, if you could go back, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
Well, I tell my 18-year-old, don't give up. Just stay in. Like I said, I got out after 7 years.
Right.
And I got back in. Quite a few years later, I was out in 97, got back. Just, I could have been retired a long time ago. I still got to go to work every damn day. Just
is there anything you missed about?
Years goes by pretty fast.
Yeah, it does. And it doesn't slow down as you get older, I'll tell you that.
No.
What do you miss about being in the military? Or do you miss anything about it?
I miss it often. I kind of wish like I said, would have stayed in and finished at least 20. But I don't miss, it was a little hard on me, even though it was just National Guard. It was just work all week. And then I have to go to drill, and then I go right back to work. Every month I had to work 2 straight weeks without a day off.
That could be pretty hard. Sissy wants to know if you had a favorite duty station.
It'd have to be Fort Knox, I guess. Fort Knox, Kentucky.
That's where our gold reserve is, isn't it?
That's where they say, anyway. I
Yeah, that was my next question. Is there any gold there?
don't know. They wouldn't let me in there either. Probably not. Right.
Should have said, my pockets aren't that deep. You can let me in.
Might be some gold paint there.
All right, dude, you're gone. Sorry. What was harder, your first couple of months in the military or your first couple of months as a civilian again after your military time?
Probably first couple months being back a civilian, readjusting. That wasn't easy for me. I was glad to be home. I do know that I didn't make any plans when I got home because I wasn't home until I was home. Even though I was out of the combat zone, I was still thinking to myself, well, I'm still not home. I still got one more airplane flight to go.
Right.
Anything could happen between here and there. I'm still not home. My wife picked me up at the airport, but we're driving home. I'm still not home. And then when I got home, then I knew I was going to get home. I didn't have any plans. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Let me ask you, if you could get civilians to understand one thing about your time in the military, what would it be? For people that never served.
I don't know, really. I mean, if you go for it, you don't like it, at least serve out your time. Like you signed up for 2 years, stay in there for 2 years. Don't get in dishonorable discharge because that'll screw your life up worse than a felony will.
Lori wants to know what's your highest rank.
E4 specialist. Even though I had 13 and a half years in, 6 years straight was my last stretch. I should have got sergeant a long time ago, but I blame that on some shitty ass leadership that we had in our unit. If you're not in your little clique,
unfortunately, that's more common than people would believe.
Yeah.
Poor leadership in the military.
That's why I didn't sign back up after that 6-year term. I said, if I'm not sergeant by the time my time's up, I'm out of here. I'm done. And that's one reason I didn't sign back
up. Karen in Brockenhorst wants to know what year you left the military.
What year? 2011. Yeah. My wife's birthday.
Let me ask, I know you say you have what? You mentioned the wife. You have kids?
Yeah, we have 3 kids.
So you're 54. Are they grown now? My question regarding them, what would you say if they come to you and say they're going to join the military?
I would make sure that they knew the pros and cons about it. Yeah, I'd sit down and talk to them. Didn't Shelby talk about maybe joining the military once?
So Danny Peterbilt wants to know what was your favorite weapon to fire while you were serving, and he thanks you for your service.
I really liked my M4, but when I first joined it, we had the M16s. Then when I got back in, when it was M4s. But I got to fire the M60 machine gun before they converted. I guess they discontinued them. The 240 Bravo took over that, right? M60 machine gun was pretty neat. I mean, because I knew that they used them in Vietnam, stuff like that. That was pretty neat.
So, Mark, this is for your wife. Sissy says, as a former military wife, tell your wife thank you for her service, because military service is hard on the families back home as well. And I agree with that, Sissy, and thank you for mentioning it. So,
Yeah,
and Mrs. Baker, thank you for putting up with him being gone and him being back.
she had 3 little kids when I was gone. I was gone for 17 months. Yep.
Oh, it's okay, Lori. I know you didn't mean me. It's hard. It's not just hard for the military spouse. It's hard for the kids when dad's gone or mom. You know, when you got a parent that's gone in the military, and I imagine it's more difficult if your parent that's gone is in combat somewhere, because then you have the added stress of not knowing if they're coming back. So yeah, I take my hat off to all military families that have, particularly the ones that stay there for their veterans, knowing that when they're coming home. I have known a lot of military spouses that just as soon as the one husband or wife is gone, they start playing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Paul, but you can't drive this tank, brother.
That's what I did. I drove the howitzer. They're like a tank, but they're not really considered a tank. They're self-propelled howitzer.
Mark, I'd like to take a minute right now and announce that next week I will be interviewing Grace H. Wrights. She is the author of 3 books and 1 on the way, including this one right here, which is called My Mate. Book 2. I also have book 1. She's a really, really talented writer, and I look forward to that interview. What is one thing you learned in the military that has most benefited you since you've been out? I will, Paul.
It's benefited me since I got out, you mean?
Yeah.
Just work, I guess you could say, the work ethic, how to work as a team. Don't give up.
Right on. At this point, Mark, I'm done with questions unless they got questions from the chat. But at this point, and it's something I started that's pretty new, but I want to give you an opportunity now to do a shout out. It could be for a person, it can be for a job or something you've done. Whatever it is, that's up to you, but I'm going to give you a chance to do a shout out now.
Shout out, I don't, not anybody in particular, but just to all the other veterans out there, thank you for your service as well. We appreciate it very much. And pretty much it.
Right on. I'll add to that then, if you don't mind. I want to shout out military families, the wives and the husbands and the kids that stay, and the parents. Let's not forget mom and dad, because he joined when he was 19. He was leaving mom and dad at home too. But shout out to all of the family that stays behind when somebody like me or Mark raised the right hand, put on the uniform, and then we get sent away. He went to combat. I didn't, but I did go to Italy for 2 years and leave everybody I knew at home for 2 years. So even in a non-combat situation, that's pretty rough. Being taken away from everybody, everything you know. Wanted to particularly do that, give that shout out. When I joined the Navy, I was 20. So, and all my family at that time was in Virginia Beach. So they were all right there when I left.
Love you too, brother Mark.
At that point, guys, I would like to particularly thank you, Mark, for taking the time and let me ask you questions, particularly about your time in combat, because not every combat veteran I've met will talk about it. and I'm very grateful that you agreed to let me ask you some of these questions, and that you've taken some questions from my friends down in the chat. It's really appreciated.
I appreciate it too. Thank you. It's like the first time I ever done anything like this. I was a little nervous at
And
first.
I will send you a message once the interview is, once I have the screen recording and I've got it uploaded into YouTube, and I'll let you know when it's available to be viewed.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for the gifts too. I'll definitely pass them forward. That's what I do. Pass them forward.
Absolutely. Mark, very much appreciated, brother. Want you to know you're welcome. You're welcome in any live that I'm a host of anytime, brother.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Nice to meet. I'm sure I met some more new people, and I'll definitely look and see, who follow me. I'll follow you back.
All right. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday.
Hey,
Thank you.
take care. Thank you.